got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. It feels like I'm inside a flower. I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. It feels like I'm inside a flower. It feels like I'm inside my eyelids, and I don't wanna be anywhere but here. I don't wanna be anywhere but here. I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a red room, it'll sit right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. It feels like I'm inside a flower. It feels like I'm inside my eyelids, and I don't wanna be anywhere but here. I don't wanna be anywhere but here. Ooh, I got a bedroom, it isn't right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a bedroom, it isn't right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a bedroom, it isn't right out when the sun sets in my bedroom. It feels like I'm inside a flower. It feels like I'm inside my eyelids. I don't wanna be anywhere but here. I don't wanna be anywhere but here. I got a red room, it is a red out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a red room, it is a red out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a red room, it is a red out when the sun sets in my bedroom. I got a red room, I got a red room.
Cowboy down.
While they go the wide path, I'm heading narrow. On point like an arrow, I'm on a new level. They hate but going downhill like Will Ferrell. I just keep going forward, I never backpedal. Matter of fact, no Drake, I'm going back to back. They try to cancel me, but I flip the script like an acrobat. I bet they love me better if I was banging and trapping crack. Yeah, I used to rap for the world, ain't going back to that. Nah, no insurrection, I'm going in. And they tried to box me up but couldn't hold me in. They keep banning my voice, here we go again. I mean, try to name somebody that I don't offend, I don't know. You scared to be offended, then you won't grow. Coming to America, I'm just letting my soul flow. Thought people was real, can't even holler for promo. They scared that I'm taking they shine. They can take my platforms, but they ain't taking my mind. I see you for the human you are, the shadiest kind. When I die, they gon' say that I was great in my time. While I'm alive, I get the hate, that's the patience of mine. It's crazy, I used to be one of the most loved, but I'm one of the most hated now because I speak the truth. They'll know the truth in the end though. I used to think that love was real, but now it's something I doubt. Start comparing me to rappers that's just in it for clout. Be in the streets, risking it all, they never be out. They not getting canceled, FBI don't be at they house. I never been on Fox News. but my album still hit Billboard. Other people ain't getting the shine, they try to steal yours, they covet. It's all in their spirit, I know they'll kill for it. The devil want their soul, they out here making deals for it. I don't make trendy songs, I make songs that trend. I start the wave, they ride the wave, they soak it in. I met vicious enemies and met my closest friends. Some people hate, but they fear me, so they just hold it in. I'm the one that can hop on any beat and spaz. Pay another song without them having to ask. I do it for the culture, other folk do it for cash. Just tell them who the realest whenever they ask. I can sell my soul and have it all. Be pro-LGBT or just be quiet about it. Conservatives said I should just be silent about it. Or stop being so harsh and sound like I'm violent about it. I'd rather tell the truth, y'all just be lying about it. This about integrity, I promise I'm dying about it. I could go with the world, I'd rather be popping without it. And they know the truth, they hoping I stop, but I doubt it. I know that's what they want, man. The devil working, but I'm working harder. Armor of God on. Somebody about to get triggered. Somebody about to get triggered. Hey, 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 somebody about to get triggered. Hey. This might get bad, think you a woman, but really a man. Mentally ill, but they calling it trans. Saw Russell Westbrook, I don't understand. Take off that dress and go pit on some pants. Lizzo, so stop trying to twerk while she dance. Can't cook, can't clean, but built like a van. Nas X turned gay and then made it his brand. I'm Bryson Gray, they gon' know who I am. Said what I said, I'm not switching my stance. Why girls always naked when they on the gram. Don't wife up a thought if she got only fans. Can Cuddy in the dress, Kanye, come get your man. So I can't think he back because he got a tan. They say Bryson, stop before you lose your fans. I work for God, I don't care about the bands. Repent for the kingdom of God is at hand. Somebody about to get triggered. Ayy, I be dropping albums, no filler. Ayy, if you pro-choice, you a killer. Ayy, they say I'm too real, who realer? Ayy, somebody about to get triggered. Ayy, I be dropping albums, no filler. Ayy, if you pro-choice, you a killer. Ayy, they say I'm too real, who realer? Ayy,
somebody about to get triggered. Michelle Obama kinda built like a gorilla. You want bass rap, homeboy, I'm the dealer. Trump pushing vaccines makes him a killer. Little kids palpitating, news blame it on the winter. Heart attacks and the young people while the heart's iller. Heart on my sleeve like it's Major Magilla. They want you wearing masks, they don't wear them in the villas. Hey, cost me 80 for a tank. Milk costs double while they tax baby drink. Why do LGBT people always gotta stink? And why lesbians always overweight? White people always acting so cooked, so afraid. America dying, want debt to the banks. Doesn't say gay in the Bible, but it should. We don't even cuss, but we're banned. What's good?
Somebody about to get triggered. Ayy, I be dropping albums, no filler. Ayy, if you pro-choice, you a killer. Ayy, they say I'm too real, who realer? Ayy, somebody about to get triggered. Ayy, I be dropping albums, no filler. Ayy, if you pro-choice, you a killer. Ayy, they say I'm too real, who realer?
Patriot J and I'm saving the day. Vax shield, get out my way. I'm not taking your jab, you're not taking my veins. That's all my everything. And these liberals, they watching, just copy and hate. Cause white people love how I think. Well, the truth is the truth, it'll always relate. That's why I never fake. I gotta thank the Lord today. I'm not a Democrat and I'm still straight. That's about as rare as the steak on my plate. Half world depressed and the other half gay. Evil afoot, who would've known? Killing eight babies before they can get blown. These are not raps, these are prayers in my song. So Jesus will save me, I'll live when I'm gone.
Ayy, somebody about to get triggered. Ayy, I be dropping albums, no filler.
Yo, I can only imagine how other people feel who have been became awake before I did. For me, it was just 2020 in the pandemic, and I'll never forget the video that kind of woke me. I was on Facebook and things were getting more political, and I was never really like online battling politics like that up until 2020. I'm talking about, March 2020. It was a little bit after that because the stuff had started popping off, COVID and all that. And I was more music and, debating basketball. I used to know I used to know the starting lineup of, well, through the video game, but I used to know the starting lineup of damn near every single NBA, down to the 3 guys on the bench. There was about 13 guys deep on every roster I probably knew. If they signed a guy to a 10-day contract, I knew who it was and when the contract was up. Now I don't even know. I couldn't name a player on some of these teams now. But going up into that, and then the pandemic hit, and we're looking at just 3 years, almost 3.5 years ago. And I never forget watching some of these videos, and I saw tensions rising and people debating the vaccine. And then I saw some things. I was like, man, I don't know if this really makes sense. You got lockdowns. Italy was the first one I saw. And I was like, I don't know if this makes sense. I remember watching it on the news and on Facebook, and I was kind of chatting with people about it. And that's when I started seeing people start acting like, wait a second, that's not how you normally act. What's going on? Are you changing or what's going on? People with very milquetoast questions like, well, Italy did lockdowns, but what is that supposed to do? What is the outcome? What are we expecting to have happen? Nobody's answering any of these questions. Time goes on, and you know the story from there. And that leads me down a path of questioning the moon landing. Everything's questioned, much less the elections. What we've seen in Arizona that I have covered, I wish I could have covered better, but as extensively as I could, Arizona and Georgia is exactly the same, if not worse. Georgia is in the same boat. This is supposedly a red state. And the news that we've got to cover today, and I'm going to try to tell the story of this. I'm not going to try to tell a concise story. That might come. But this ruling happened on the 10th of November, so just this past week. The ruling in Curling versus Raffensperger. I remember the first time I found out about Raffensperger was when the Trump call. I didn't really know who he was at all. And that I have a video on that where you can kind of see me becoming more and more red-pilled looking at this stuff. And you see me more and more getting red-pilled, looking into this more and more. And I think this is big news. This ruling addressed significant security vulnerabilities that we've known for quite some time, but to my knowledge have never been acknowledged in a court of law. And this is a trial without jury. It's a bench trial. So it's very significant. This is an Obama-appointed judge, to my knowledge, that we found that these vulnerabilities, there's enough there where the judge is like, I can't ignore this. And the judge basically told them, the state of Georgia, you better work something out. And the tone of it was, you won't like what will happen if you don't. That's the tone that I got from it. But this is big news. Scrutinizing Dominion. This is a voting machine tabulation company that uses proprietary software that they do not let anybody look into for public elections. And I don't need to make any allegations beyond that for you to know that that is not a system that is trustworthy. There is no competent person on this planet that would trust any system of voting where there's a private company that tabulates the votes, a private company that uses an algorithm, and the private company doesn't allow the public to look at that whenever they want to, that code. Even if they let you look at the code now, you don't know if that was the code when it was running. That's how corrupt or untrustworthy this process is. And even people who look into this don't like to touch into this part of it. Like the great American patriot Robert Barnes, he doesn't even like to talk about Dominion. And he's as red-pilled as anybody. And I cringe when he talks about it because you don't need to make any allegations. Just look at the process. That's the problem. I can't make any allegations. He won't let me see what's in the algorithm. And the judge outlines that here. What we've been talking about. Is it big because changes are going to happen? No, that's not what my take is. It's big because it is going to wake up people. You don't know how many people are going to wake up from this. You can't imagine how many people are going to wake up from this. We're going to see a lot of people become red-pilled just like I did in 2020. You see people get red-pilled in 2024, people getting red-pilled now, people getting red-pilled from the FTX, the Sam Bankman-Fried. It's waking more and more people up. So I guess change could come from that, but I think it's more waking people up to that this is not a fixable situation. Brian Kemp, Raffensperger, they're still in charge. So as long as they're in charge, this is not changing. The judicial branch can't change this. They can rule on it. They can make it as difficult as possible for the state legislative bodies to stomach this. But if the public doesn't care, then nobody cares. And Team DeSantis is with Brian Kemp on this. Straight up. If you're on Team DeSantis, you can't be questioning the election here. Ron DeSantis is on Brian Kemp's team, and they don't have a problem with this. So, and this has nothing to do with Trump because people will run to Trump. This ain't got nothing to do with Trump. This right here started some of it. So the questions here that I went back just with this went back to 2002. But then this lawsuit is from 2018 or 17, I believe. I have a whole story here. I'll go into that. That's after Trump. But it had nothing to do with Trump. It was after Trump had won. So it wasn't about a election denier or anything. It wasn't even about that. So we just had this. I just found out about this today. This ruling came on the 10th. And there was an article that came out that kind of went viral a little bit. And I was like, whoa, wow, this has been out. This is stuff that we've been talking about on the live, now validated. So let me just say what's up, everybody. Thanks for coming through. Old Jim Bob says, rumor in our town was that refrigerator trucks were being moved in to handle all the bodies at the hospital from COVID. A few days later, a nurse who worked there told me there were no cases there. So many things so many questions from the pandemic we still haven't gotten answered. I will give credit to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She did her own hearing. She ran it, I believe. It wasn't an official hearing because they're still not doing that, but you can do whatever you can. And she did do that. So I do appreciate Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thomas Massey was involved with that. But Thomas Massey is problematic. He's Team DeSantis. He's not. Thomas Massey doesn't agree with all this right here. You can't be Team DeSantis and agree with this right here. Because you're supporting a guy who doesn't talk about this, who actually meets with Brian Kemp and agrees with this. So you don't have to be Team Trump. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying if you are Team DeSantis, you can't even get into this world because you're supporting a guy who doesn't even care about this. All those things woke me up from the pandemic. And when the pandemic started, I watched Cuomo. Cuomo I thought was the best during the pandemic. I might even said that on the live early on. And turned out, obviously, he was disastrous. Another wake him up moment. This story here is going to, there's a lot. This ruling is 135 pages. I can't break that. I can, but we got to do that in pieces. But let's revisit before we go to the ruling, so I told you what the story was. Let's revisit. This is a thread I talked about maybe once or twice on the channel, but I want to revisit this. And I try to be cautious when I make accusations or anything like that. So I just want to ask questions. Dominion's Michael Steele said their printed ballots are the gold standard in election security. And I asked Jen from CISA, a really bad government organization. I asked her, because she put together a whole government report that Steve Bannon, I only heard Steve Bannon. I didn't really even hear anybody else talk about it other than Steve Bannon. This is last year, summer of last year. Jen Easterly, head of team cyber. This is the cyber security government branch. And because they put out the report, that's why I at her, because I know the report contradicts this right here from Dominion.
How do you know that could have taken place?
Well, it's physically impossible. Look, when a voter votes on a Dominion machine, they fill out their ballot on a touch screen. They're given a printed copy, which they then give to a local election official for safekeeping. If any electronic interference...
Did you hear what he just said? He said they're given a printed copy. Oh.
Impossible. Look.
Yeah, that's actually a truth. But we're going to talk about what that printed, you wouldn't even need to, you couldn't even wipe your ass with it. It's not worth anything. Why print it? Why are you wasting paper?
Look, when a voter votes on a Dominion machine, they fill out their ballot on a touch screen. They're given a printed copy, which they then give to a local election official for safekeeping. If any electronic interference had taken place, the tally reported electronically would not match the printed ballots. And in every case where we've looked at, in Georgia, all across the country, the printed ballots, the gold standard in election security, has matched the electronic tally.
These people should be arrested. These people shouldn't be walking free. This is an absolute travesty of justice. Our DOJ should be investigating. I mean, obviously, this sounds so silly, doesn't it? They're in on it. In the way you're investigating, they're protecting. I'm in the middle of me saying the DOJ should be investigating. That's what would be more likely to happen. He's on Fox News. I'm going to play this one more time.
How do you know that could have taken place?
And he's the spokesperson, Dominion Voting Machine. This is from Fox News, saying, whoa, we're going to respond to President Trump's claims of fraud.
How do you know that could have taken place?
Well, it's physically impossible. Look, when a voter votes on a Dominion machine, they fill out their ballot on a touch screen. They're given a printed copy, which they then give to a local election official for safekeeping. If any electronic interference had taken place, the tally reported electronically would not match the printed ballots. And in every case where we've looked at, in Georgia, all across the country, the printed ballots, the gold standard in election security, has matched the electronic tally.
And obviously, you don't even need to go much further to know that this is BS, but this is from last year. This is not even a new. This is from June 5th of last year. I posted the printed ballot that he's referring to, the gold standard, is not really a printed ballot. So it's a ballot that's printed, but it's digitally tabulated. The only thing scanned on the ballot is the QR code. Everything else on the piece of paper is meaningless. We have no idea what that code means or how it could be changed. No one can verify that. Dominion owns the code running behind the scenes, and they do not make that process public. Here's an example of official ballot from Georgia. Notice the QR code. That's what's being scanned. This isn't some hand-filled out paper ballot you can go back and look at. No, it's all behind the scenes now, just like social media. How do you know that this barcode accurately reflects whom you voted for? Wait for it. You don't. You don't know. So you can recount the election as many times as you want, it means absolutely nothing. You can audit the election as many times as you want. What are you auditing? There's absolutely nothing, especially when you don't know how many votes are out there. That's the gold standard that he's referring to. So when I say this is big, it's also big to me personally because, man, this is tough looking at this stuff and knowing that there are serious problems here and knowing that because no one's talking about it, and I watch mainstream stuff and people ask me, how do you watch Morning Joe? I don't even actually know. But when I look in their faces and I can see that doubt, not doubt, but I can see that they're lying, the lack of integrity of people that once I think did have integrity years ago. It's because they know all this. That's why. That's why they looked like that. I know that they know all of this. And anytime they touch on one of these topics that can go down this route, I see it in their face. And we to this moment, I don't think we had any validation in the judicial process. And now we do. I said Michael Steele in November 2020 said, in that video you heard him say, it's not physically possible to stick a thumb drive in the machines. There's no unlocked USB ports. The report, this is not from me. This CISA is another government branch from the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. They released a report that said, yeah, they are vulnerable. The report said, we didn't find evidence that it was tampered with, but I'm not alleging that. I don't know. What I'm saying is it could have been tampered with.
All right, Sidney Powell and others say, well, they think that the thumb drives could upload material from foreign sources. Can a poll worker take a thumb drive, stick it in the machine, and fill it up with thousands of votes for Joe Biden?
No, the tabulator has no unlocked thumb drive access, no unlocked USB ports. And remember, these are secured by local elected officials and nonpartisan poll watchers. It's not physically possible to do what they're describing.
That would be what we would call, sorry, the volume's off. These clips, it's always off. That would be what we would call a lie. The spokesperson for Dominion just lied. Period. That was a lie. And let's continue on. Directly from the government, you saw this information. What I want to do is go back, though, to the paper ballot, because there's a lot here in this ruling. So that's what I talked about, the paper ballot. Now let's fast forward to this ruling from November 10th. This indicates, this is a quote, this is a screenshot from this 135-page ruling. And I have it on ChatGPT, and I want to give a public link for people to go in and just ask questions of the document. The ChatGPT thing is not working right. I don't know why, so I'll get that fixed. And I want to start putting out links. Like if you want to chat with this thing, you still have to check it. I'll do a link to the actual PDF. And I've done it on lives and showed people what I've done is I'll ask it, okay, here's what I said about the paper. I literally put this in ChatGPT. This is what I said about the paper ballots in 2022. Here's the 135-page ruling. Comb through the ruling and find anything in the ruling that proves my point, is evidence that goes towards my point. And then I'll say, quote, the full quote. So then it will tell me, here's the quote. Then I take the quote, then I go into the PDF to make sure it's there because it's really wonky. You have to check it every time. But it's still, I'm not reading I can't read the 135-page report. I just saw it today. I didn't have time to read it all today. Just read pieces from what I searched. So in the report, it indicates that the QR code, not the human readable text, is what's primarily scanned and used for tabulation. As discussed above, these are called ballot machine. I forgot what it's called. It's like ballot making machines or something like that. BMDs generate paper printouts that include both a list of the voter selections and a QR code intended to reflect those selections. The printout is then fed into a separate ballot scanner that records the information from the QR code, not the list of the voter selections. What that means is everything I said was a year ago was absolutely true. That means what you see, like you voted for this person, that part of the ballot is irrelevant. It's not scanning it. It's just the little code. The scanner saves the QR code information to removable flashcards that are used for tabulating results. So that backs it up right there. Then you can look at this part of it. This supports the claim that there is uncertainty and lack of transparency about how the QR codes represent voter selections. Plaintiffs argued that this system is problematic because the machines that generated the printouts were vulnerable to hacking manipulation that could result in the alteration of either the human readable text or the selections contained in the QR codes. So why would you do that? Because you might need to, if somebody goes in and looks, you might need to change the human part of the code. It's not even handwritten, the part that says who you voted for, so it matches just in case the QR code. So they've got all these layers of just in case this happens. So they could lose a court case and then the algorithm is public. And then people start looking in and say, okay, the QR code said this, but the written didn't say that. So they even have the ability, once they scan it, because these are all scanned and they're all scanned images, they have the ability to switch the images up around. And then you have to hide who voted for what. So I don't even know how you would even audit it, even if you could get the algorithm. That's how crazy this is. Plaintiffs could not verify whether QR codes accurately reflected their selections. So I want to know if my vote was counted properly. It's impossible. It's just not possible to do. Let me take a look at the chat, and then I'm going to go through going through the back history of this. I don't think I'm even going to get into how this affects Donald Trump. I have to even think about that, but maybe in the chat you have. I'm just going through the history of this. Boring Life, thanks for stopping by. My daughter's being oh my gosh, look at this. Great. Let's take a break here. Barton Bella, great friend of the channel. My daughter's being induced in the hour. I'm going to meet my grandson. Oh my goodness. The best to you and your daughter and your grandson and your family right before Thanksgiving. Oh man. And friend of the show, Steve Johnson, I haven't chatted with in a while because Steve's like, probably because you're doing lives at midnight Mountain. Maybe do a live at a different time and I might stop by. But he just became a proud papa. Man, we got a family we got families sprouting up all over the place. That's a beautiful thing, man. And I wish the best to your family. That birth is an emotional roller coaster, that's for sure. I got, if you don't know, I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. That's great. Old Jim Bob says, the problem is that the lying people believe they are doing it for the sake of justice. That was the If I Did It Time article. The shadowy cabal of people. And they were actually written in that article as if they were heroes. So it wasn't just, yeah, look at that. Congrats, Grandma. Oh, shoot. Yeah, Taco, I saw that. I didn't get to chat in the Discord, but Taco's not feeling well, man. Get better. And thanks for at least stopping by, dropping a comment in. Oh, yeah, Barton Bella. Then you got to that brings a smile. That brings a smile to my face. And I'm hoping that everything goes well. And that's so at least you know the timing. That's the other part of the birth is like you don't know when it's coming. You know the contractions. I remember with my youngest, my wife was in just a checkup, and the doctor was like, because I think she was about a week past or something like that, and she was tired. And she was like, this boy gonna have to come out at some point. And the doctor's like, sometimes we can kind of induce it, and believe it or not, and you can imagine me sitting down watching this. The doctor actually she actually broke her water. So the doctor manually broke her water, and it's literally just, out. And I'm sitting down looking at this. I'm like, wait, that's not how it looks on. That's not what they do on the TV. And then she said, whoop, there it is. And once obviously your water breaks, I think she had to go. We took the ambulance, I believe. Yeah, we took the ambulance to the hospital. And yeah, then from there it happened. It was a lot. It was a tough birth for her. Very painful until she got the epidural. I'm betting on a cesarean. Me, my mom, and even her mom all have had to have the C-section. My wife did not have to have it, but yeah, hopefully that goes well. Man, when you think about it, man, that's a hell of a procedure to basically literally have to cut it open and bring the baby out. But it's such a beautiful thing. Yeah. I'm not a real emotional person. When my first son was born, after it was just all a shock when the whole thing happened. Believe it or not, I have it on video. Believe it or not, I should probably delete it. It's not something you can sit down and. That's not one of those things you reminisce. Like I have it on video. Like I have it on video. Why I don't know. It's very visceral, as you can imagine. But I remember the first time I held him, I was crying. I don't even know why. It was just like, damn, this is crazy. I brought a life into the world. I was part of it. She did all the work, but damn, it's crazy. Scared and excited all at the same time. See, you get the good part, Bart and Bella, being the grandma. That's the good part. Hopefully, you get to have all the fun. You don't have to worry about the discipline. You could be the one. My son's grandma, they spoil them. So they get the good parts. Bart and Bella says, I'm going to show my 12-year-old so he will think about abstinence and birth control. Yeah, for sure. That happens quickly. Yeah, my wife was already like, you're going to have that talk with them, right? Yeah. So, but, if something happens, of course, and I think Bart and Bella would agree that, if there's an unplanned pregnancy or something like that, I'm never going to look at bringing a life into this world as a negative thing. But let's just try to avoid the unplanned. She's going to drop the pictures in the Discord. Oh, great. Buddha Cafe, what's up, bro? What's your name? Sorry for asking if I don't know. I go by Osiris. My real name's Wayne McEachran. It's on the Middle MAGA website if you want to know more about me. In the About section. Yeah, Osiris. What's up, Greg? I haven't seen you in a minute. You said you don't have to work tomorrow. That's good. I got to work, so. So I'm up. When we say fam today for this show, we literally mean fam. What's up, fam? Bart and Bella's gonna have to be that grandma. That's a good thing. See, my kids are older, so I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna have to be a grandpa with a crate if I'm lucky enough. Let's not get ahead. They're 4 and 7. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But the story of I'm gonna go to the election here. The story of what happened, and I'll just do some B-roll and looking back at some footage here in Georgia. It's a very important state. I think it's actually probably even more important than Arizona, believe it or not, because as you see, they're hemming up Donald Trump. This was back from 2020. Let's listen here.
Where election official Gabriel Sterling is speaking to reporters. This comes on the eve of the Senate runoffs, as well as on the heels of the controversial phone call between President Trump and Brad Raffensperger. Let's listen in.
963 poll pads. They finished the final loading of their data today before lunch. We had about 21 counties were the last ones to go. Most of them completed it over the weekend. A total of 2,648 polling locations open on election day.
So those are your Georgia officials. Those are Republicans that are out here spewing nonsense. Let's take a trip back to, as far as I'm going back to this, the debate over election integrity in Georgia actually goes back to the touchscreens being used since 2002. Since 2002, there are people who have been awake and saw, wait a second, there's hacking potentially that could happen with these things. The battle has been overseen by this U.S. District Judge, Amy Totenberg. This thing brought to light through all the evidence about the risks of the system. Totenberg has made some very pivotal rulings. Georgia moved towards implementing these new machines, and then the battle intensified in 2020 for the primary. It was conducted with these new machines. They dropped a lot of money on that. We now have a bench trial set for January 2024. This is not a local issue. There are many states across the country, not just Arizona, that are in very similar situations. This is a precedent that's being set. The initial lawsuit, like I said, came years ago. And in 2002, voting advocacy groups, and these are people who could be Republican, Democrat, they just care about accurate elections. They brought concerns to the table. And when we looked at it, the judge had to look at this even in the 2018 midterm elections with Georgia. This was the election with Secretary of State at the time, Brian Kemp. And he was very important because he did the same thing Katie Hobbs did. He ran for governor while he was Secretary of State. That should never happen. That's going to have to be decided at the state level. But that should never happen. I don't know how states allow that. Arizona did it, obviously. Georgia did it. I don't know of any other states that did. Those are the two that I know. That should never happen. It's a conflict of interest. You can't be running the election for the process that you are trying to run it. Brian Kemp, of course, defended the integrity of the election. He maintained that this system that had been in place since 2002, and then they did a new deal with Dominion for $100 million. That was way after that. He said it was secure. And obviously he knows, I'm not putting any allegedly here. Obviously he knows it's not. The federal government said it's not. So I don't need to put any allegedly here. And obviously Brian Kemp knew it was not and knows now that it is not. But his stance has not changed. Remember, Stacey Abrams was the one questioning the election. Stacey Abrams was the denier. And she had full right to question it and denying it. I have no problem with her doing that. I have no problem with anybody questioning and denying any election. That is First Amendment protected. You don't have to trust an election. And at the time, Stacey Abrams refused to concede. This is before Trump. Before Trump, she refused to concede the elections. Not after. And it was never a problem. I'm talking to you, Google.
Distinguished gentleman and my good friend from Maryland for yielding me the customary 30 minutes, and I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The rule before us today provides for consideration of H.R. 8873, which, let's just call it what it is. This is a partisan messaging bill for my friends across the aisle. My colleagues want to ram through Congress this bill to change the way presidential elections are conducted. H.R. 8873 is attempting to reform the Electoral Count Act for the first time since 1887. That's the first time in 135 years we're taking a look at this. Yet despite that, no hearings were held on this bill. And the text was introduced just a mere 24 hours before it was presented at the Rules Committee yesterday. During testimony before the Rules Committee, the sponsor of the bill, Chair Lofgren, she mentioned repeatedly the lengthy process they undertook to draft this bill, including consulting the country's leading so-called experts. Yet, she did not bother to bring this legislation before her own committee for consideration. Given the majority's constant claims of democracy itself being under attack, one would think that the Democratic Party and my colleagues across the aisle would bring bills through the appropriate channels and mechanisms. But my colleagues across the aisle will also try to tell you that this bill is a reform. It's a reaction to the objections to certifying the 2020 election. However, both sides of the aisle have long used their legal authority to object to presidential elections. Notable individuals that have exercised this authority include no other than Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and that's just to name a few. Again, they have all used this authority to object to presidential elections. Even our distinguished chairman of the Rules Committee and someone I consider a good friend objected to the 2016 elections. My other Rules Committee colleague and good friend from Maryland also objected. In fact, following the 2016 election, Democrats objected to certifying the electoral votes of more states than Republicans did in 2021. Following her loss to President Trump, Hillary Clinton continued to attack the integrity of our democratic process by insisting ad nauseum that President Trump was, I quote, an illegitimate president. Stacey Abrams, another great example, the current Georgia Democratic gubernatorial nominee, she has built a national brand on denying election results and making baseless accusations of suppression and voter fraud. She claimed that she won the 2018 election for governor and has yet to concede the 2018 race. But we can go all the way back to 2005. Democrats objected in that year to certifying Ohio's electoral votes, with Senator Barbara Boxer joining Representative Stephanie Tubbs Jones to require a vote. 31 members of the House voted against certifying these results, 12 of whom are still in Congress today. And I presume those 12 are now supporting this legislation hypocritically. But this precedent goes back even further than 2005 and 2001. We can take this back to 1961 with President John F. Kennedy. JFK, just a quick history lesson, drafted his own secret slate of electors, declaring himself the winner of Hawaii's electoral votes when the state was originally called for Richard Nixon. Yet today, let's just talk about today, despite the history. Today, the actual purpose of this bill is nothing more than an attempt to federalize our elections. This is a way to back.
So he goes through the history very well there in that clip of people challenging the election. And for people like you and I who might just say, wait, there's some problems, and not even really, I say 2020 was stolen, but really not even going that route too often, just saying, look at this, look at the problems here. Even if you disagree, look at the problems. You see how measured his approach is. The other side of the aisle is not as measured. This is a different topic, but you see they're emotional. There's no details. This is how they are on every topic.
of a lack of care and a lack of understanding and a lack of seeing the humanity of folks who look like Rashida Tlaib. It's outrageous that my colleagues are blatantly attempting to silence the only Palestinian American representative right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising. And let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit. It's not surprising because this is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off of elevators, xenophobia, and more right here in this workplace. This is the place. And let me say this, she mourns for the 1,400 Israelis.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
She mourns for the 10,000, and she will not stop. No
gentlelady's time has expired.
Ceasefire now, and she takes the death threats that you all send that they.
The gentlelady is no longer recognized. The gentleman from Maryland.
To her, the desire to save lives is greater.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
That's what I said.
We'll reserve.
The gentleman from Maryland reserves. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
It's all emotion. How do you put this together when you go through these things in detail and the prominent people out there, these are probably the most recognizable of the people. They're recognizable because they're complete emotions. There's no reasoning with that. There's no way to have a substantive discussion with that. It's all emotion. But for those who do want details, we still go on. If you go to the transition here that they made to Dominion, now I'm going to talk about the transition to the new voting system. They implemented and rolled out this new voting system. This is when the QR codes and all that came in. It featured the touch screen machines that would print out the ballot. And the major point of contention was there was no verifiable paper trail. The way that they kind of got past that was to say, here's your paper with the QR code. So the people who are doing the, and this whole time, this case that I'm talking about was going on. Man, how long does this stuff take to go through the court system? Oh, thank you, Barton Bella, $10. She said, for the match. What was that? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed some here. Let me see. We'll match dollar for dollar in Super Chat in the next 3 minutes. I appreciate you. Greg Wilson, man. Greg Wilson putting in more work than I have to promote the channel. I appreciate you, man. I've never seen that before. Man, I can't even thank Greg enough for that. Greg Wilson said, I will match dollar for dollar any Super Chat in the next 3 minutes. Man, I've never seen that before. Wow. Thanks a lot, bro. I appreciate it. He did a $5 Super Chat to say that he would. Barton Bella for the match. Because I saw Barton Bella's for the match. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, great. Thank you, Greg Wilson. I actually don't know what to say, man. I really appreciate that. Barton Bella did the $10, then Greg Wilson matched it. Thank you. Nate's Memes, $1.99. Have you heard of Left Hand Path? No, I have not. It's rooted Satanism. I have to look that up. I have never heard of that in my life. Thank you for the Super Chats there that just came through. So they implemented the new system, and the debate came on, rang on, and then after the election, we had the call. And now Donald Trump is under some serious concerns in Georgia. If the Supreme Court doesn't bail this out in some way, it's a wrap. He'll be convicted of anything in Georgia. I don't know what this plays. If somebody tell me, I have not connected the dots with, Trump said that there was going to be stuff coming out. Was this what he was talking about? I don't know. But that would show that he was right. And I think it does. And this could be what he's talking about. It's the judge just ruled there was enough here to go forward with the bench trial in January. And the judge came out pretty strong. Let me go to the article and show. Well, actually, it's in the actual ruling where the judge said, you all should probably settle this. Basically is what the judge said. Let me go ahead and bring up some of the stuff we have here. Okay, so in the ruling, I'm going to pull up the ruling and get to what the judge recommended that this be settled for the best interest of the public, that the state settle this with a new agreed upon process. So that's what they basically kind of settled in on. And let me get the quote here. I thought this was very interesting. And I'm going to share this article. January trial date for long-running suit against Georgia's electronic voting machines. So I think this is the one that had the quotes in there. So Judge Totenberg found there are material facts in dispute. So here's the quote. The judge said, what is that? That's crazy. I do not like ads with audio. And the last time I muted it, I messed up my live. So the judge here said the court cannot wave a magic wand in this case to address the varied challenges to our democracy and election system in recent years, including those presented in this case, she wrote. But reasonable, timely discussion and compromise in this case, coupled with prompt, informed legislative action, might certainly make a difference that benefits the parties and the public. My interpretation of that is it's in the best, because she said that timely discussion and compromise. Who needs to compromise? She's talking about the state of Georgia. Coupled with prompt legislative action. That's not the plaintiffs. That's the state of Georgia that would have to do that. She's saying go to the legislative body, come up with a compromise. The problem is they don't like the compromise. They think because people want paper ballots. And they said, no, we don't want the paper ballots. So the judge said pragmatic, sound, remedial policy measures could be agreed upon, including eliminating QR codes on ballots and having scanners read human legible text, using a broader scope and number of election audits, and implementing essential cybersecurity measures and policies recommended by leading experts. Even all that, I don't think is going to be enough. You got to go with like Mark Fincham. Mark Fincham had a great idea. I think it was all paper ballots. There's a set number of ballots. Every ballot has a serial number. His idea was outstanding. Maybe I'll go find that and play that clip from that. It's too bad what they did in Arizona to Mark Fincham and Kerry Lake. We look forward to presenting our full evidence at trial and obtaining critical relief for Georgia voters, the attorney for some of the individual voters said. But we hope this decision will be a much-needed wake-up call for the Secretary and SEB and finally spur them to work with us on a negotiated resolution that secures the right to vote in Georgia. Both Cross and Coalition for Good Governance Executive Director Marilyn Marks said, Raffensperger has continually failed to address escalating risks to the state's voting system. So not only does that put some validity to me to what we've been talking about, I also played that clip from Robert Barnes where he went off and he talked about the whole thing even more than what we're talking about here. And even him, he's not even talking about the machines. That he doesn't. He even says he doesn't want to talk about the machines.
But on the counting, So they decide they're going to count all the ballots in Fulton County in one centralized location. That's a disaster because all of a sudden you lose chain of custody of the ballot. And this is the real problem with the machines, by the way. The fact the machines are hackable is always an issue, but that's a lower risk because that's easier to track and trace.
Thank you, Barton Bella. $2 super chat. Appreciate that. And here's Robert Barnes saying, nah, I don't even want to talk about that. Look at the other problems.
From an evidentiary perspective by voter disparities than a lot of these other ways of fraud is. The bigger problem is you when you interfere with ballot, when you print a ballot, you can just keep printing ballots and you can keep printing replacement ballots. You no longer have clean ballot chain of custody. Like the ballot should be treated like a dollar bill, right? So normally it would come in.
So what I'm going to do after this is end with, what's the solution? Let's go to Mark Fincham after this.
Would come in, they would be specifically serialized and numbered. You only had so many of them. You couldn't print new ones. You had just enough for enough people to vote. You couldn't just print constantly and just and then you can sub them out, right? I mean, because then you have a rogue actor. Let's say they got 500 ballots here. They're going to deliver it from this location to this location. They take those, throw them out. They put in their 500. So that's why we always wanted the ballots printed. We wanted to see weird anomalies with any aspect of the ballot, not only the physical form of it. And by the way, Raffensperger promised to do that when he gave his big fat check to his buddies at Dominion in 2018. He said, don't worry, we're going to publish all the ballots for the world to see. He hasn't published even one yet. He's been dodging that for years. So, but why? If there's nothing to hide, why does Raffensperger and Kemp and Georgia keep hiding everything critical? The signatures and the ballots. That's what the election was fine. The election just can't explain to me yet. They haven't been able to explain it for 3 years. But that wasn't all. So they have a centralized location. This is when the magic water pipe broke. The joke by Zero Hedge is that the indictment leaked from a water pipe in Atlanta to remind people that what was supposed to happen is during the counting of the ballots, somebody's supposed to be there to make sure nothing's going on that's wrong. All of a sudden, Fulton County told all the party observers, go home. Oh, well, we got to stop. We got a water leak. We'll start back up in the morning. And as soon as within an hour, the party observers being gone, that's when they grabbed those big buckets out. As Steven Crowder, they fact-checked Steven Crowder because they said, you defined the buckets in the wrong way. They weren't card.
Unbelievable that this stuff really happened. And the people who are talking about it got strikes on YouTube, and a lot of them getting hemmed up in court now too. Here's the answer, I think, or here's a good solution.
What is good, Osiris?
This is with the Ballot Integrity Project, Mark Fincham. And I was rooting so hard for him to win that election. But here, let's go take a look at that.
I was here stuck in the middle. I'm on podcast style today because my eye is all messed up, bothering me. The lights kind of make me look crazy. So let me just do some audio here. I want to talk about Mark Fincham back in Arizona. He's a representative. And he's the first representative that I've heard talk about election integrity in a manner that caught my attention. This is when I say those in DC have not talked about election integrity in a meaningful way, this is what I mean. Mark Fincham is actually running for state secretary of Arizona, I believe. And here's what he's working on.
Some of the security measures that you want to implement in Arizona to take that nationwide. Talk to us about that.
You are well read. So we introduced a project, probably in time for last session, where we're putting currency grade fraud countermeasures. So the things you see on the $100 bill, the $50 bill, and I believe even the 20 that are in the print, they're in the paper. We're putting those into the Arizona ballot. So in the future, people will be able to shine a black light on their ballot, and they'll see this beautiful watermark that is unique to the state of Arizona. That means you can't have counterfeit ballots coming in from California, Utah, New York. So remember Beth Page driving ballots into Pennsylvania. If Pennsylvania decides they want to use this, they can. So the reason we were in Dallas was to take time to build a process map to use this. So there's some features within that. One of them is that we will know for the first time in the history of America how many sheets of paper have been used to create how many ballots. Think about that. we'll have an auditable universe of documents that's well-defined. And if we have more than the number that have been certified, we know we have a problem. It's an early warning system. The other thing that's so interesting about this is constituents will be able to scan a QR code that is on their ballot and receive a number on that ballot, and only they will know that number. So once the ballot's been processed, they'll be able to go out online and see the image.
So they're at a live Trump event, so it's kind of talking in the background. So that's where he's talking about treating this like money, basically. Well, even more secure. I mean, we're just printing money. He's saying there's a finite amount of ballots.
That number. So once the ballot's been processed, they'll be able to go out online and see the image of the ballot they submitted, so that they'll know that their ballot was received, they'll know that their ballot is stored, and their ballot can be found.
You know, the forensic audit is great, but it's a lot of money and time. It's not sustainable. I mean, we're going back to, they started the audit in February 2nd, and we just got the results and the whole presentation September 24th. There was court hearings and all that in the middle, but that doesn't help. I mean, it helps, but that's not something that will help in every election. So this is great news to hear. Because if we have so many ballots out there that we can't count how many are legit for sure, then that alone proves that our process is faulty. I like what he said, and I'm not an expert here. If you're an expert, let me know what you think. I'm just a common person who's now interested in election integrity because of all this craziness going on. How many sheets were printed to create how many ballots? So we know off the top, if there's more than that, we know for a fact some shadiness was going on without question. And then we can look at every single ballot in the election. It just won't be tied to a person. That has.
So that was a video I did a while back, and I like to kind of put the solution out there if we're going to talk about the problem. Let me know what you think about that. Thank God, more super chat. Another one, Greg Wilson. Thank you for another 10. Salt, the salt must flow. Are you Salty Army, Greg? I don't think we ever talked about that. I haven't been in a live in a minute. I have not been in a Salty live in a minute just because of the scheduling, and I'm just listening to so much stuff. That's one of my favorite dudes. If you don't know, I'm the Salty man. Dang, that dude. What is he? For him to, like, the performances that he, not in a negative way. I mean, the way that he just has his energy throughout his whole live, man, is just, it's unmatched. What a great, and you hear him on, doing interviews on other stuff and other people's stuff. He is just a special dude. This Salty Cracker, if you don't know, funny dude. But I don't know if were you doing the salt must flow? That's my dude. So after that, I still want to go back just for a second here and go back to the Xi coming through and how important this is. I didn't talk about this part of it, the business part of it. The business part of Xi Jinping coming through our country. Laura Loomer talks about it, says compromised by China just in. Here's a list of the dinner guests who were at Chinese dictator Xi Jinping's main dinner table last night at his dinner with Joe Biden. So what she's reporting here is they weren't just there. They were at the main dinner table. So they were the real brown nosers. They clearly don't have a problem with America being conquered and China being the future. And I'm going to talk about this conquering thing in a second. Check out all of these big tech banking and defense executives. She's top table at the CEO dinner. Amway. Apple. So these are the CEOs of these companies here. BlackRock, of course. BlackRock they had VIP access. Blackstone as well. Boeing trying to get the plane deals done with China. Bringing back, was it the 737 they were having problems with? Bringing that back. Bridgewater Associates, Broadcom, Citadel, of course. FedEx, I didn't know FedEx would be up there. I was kind of surprised by that. Freepoint Commodities, Fulgent Genetics. I don't know what that is. Genetics sounds something else. Gilead Sciences Incorporated, Honeywell, Kohlberg Kravis Roberts Company LP, Las Vegas Sands Corporation, MasterCard, of course, Nike, of course. Brought to you by Pfizer. Is anybody in the live surprised that Pfizer was at the main? I don't want to wake my wife up. She's going to come down here. You're going to see me get my ass beat by my wife. Like, why you wake me up at 1 a.m? She'd be, yeah, I'd have to take that one too. But like, damn, my bad. I need a soundproof. I need a soundproof situation. Who in the live is surprised by Pfizer being at the main table with Xi Jinping?
The 65th Grammy Awards is sponsored by Pfizer.
Pfizer. CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer. Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer. ABC News Nightline. Brought to you.
Yeah, Pfizer got the front row seat. Qualcomm, Visa, of course, Xcol Energy. So these are the, I don't know where she got this from, but she's getting information. I didn't see any mainstream outlet when I looked at it report this. She's got all this stuff, man. Laura Loomer is crazy. She's out here breaking stories and debating people. I wish I was as efficient. I mean, that is just unbelievable. How do you prepare for a debate? She has like basically photographic memory. How do you prepare for a debate while you're breaking stories, talking about Gavin Newsom's wife, and she's everywhere. When I said blue states have teamed up with the federal government in an open act of secession, first of all, I mean that the blue states or blue areas have teamed up with the federal government in an open act of secession. I do mean that. But I also forgot to mention that these corporations are in on it also. And even with all that power, they cannot stop us as soon as we recognize this. And I think once this is recognized, people will get together and figure it out. Elon Musk, of course, was there. I've defended Elon Musk and Tesla being over in China, and I don't do that as much anymore. The World Economic Forum is the CEO of X. How can I defend him? Steve Bannon has been proven right. I have been proven wrong. Remember, Steve Bannon was the one that went after E. Steve Bannon is still banned off of Twitter, off of X. Elon Musk versus Steve Bannon. Remember, that was a beef that popped off, and that was about 8 months ago when Elon Musk went after Steve Bannon, and that's when I started seeing red flags on this China stuff. Elon Musk went after Steve Bannon, and it's tough because I like Elon Musk and I like Steve Bannon in a way. The shine on Elon Musk is, for me, in many avenues, is rubbing off, though. If you force me to choose, I'm rolling with Mr. Steve Bannon 100 times out of 100 times. Period. So that's where I stand if I'm forced to choose. But I just go with whoever has the best idea specifically. So I disagree with Steve Bannon here. And I still roll with him. And Elon Musk is embarrassing himself. And I'm going to show you what I'm referring to here. This is a very big moment. So Steve Bannon was on with Timcast. And when Steve Bannon's on with Timcast IRL, there's always magical moments. This one, they were up in Matt Gaetz' office. And here's Steve Bannon. I don't agree with him. I'm going to talk about specifically why. But even though I don't totally agree with him here, I still rock with him over Elon. That's how out of pocket Elon Musk is here.
The collapse of the neoliberal order, which is predicated upon the slave labor of China, the Lao Beijing, gives us an opportunity to throw off the chains of working class people everywhere, right? Regardless of race or gender or religion.
True. Metalopoly says in the comment, I'm going to pause this because I don't want to forget the comment. Metalopoly says, to be fair, Bannon went after Musk first. So, but here's the problem. Steve Bannon is banned off of Twitter. How in the world, Elon Musk, are you going to go after somebody who can't even speak on your platform? When Elon Musk bought Twitter, he accepted all bannings. The bannings are now under him. There is no reason Steve Bannon is banned on Twitter. None. Because we have a new management when Elon Musk took over. So the new management has not said why Steve Bannon is banned on Twitter. There is no reason Steve Bannon is banned on Twitter that has been provided at this point, while many other people have been brought back on. So Elon Musk, so Metalopoly's fair in that Elon Musk can defend himself, but he can't, and not, he can do whatever he wants, but not get respect from me. He can't go after Bannon, and I'm going to show you what Elon Musk did after I play what Bannon said. He can't go after Bannon personally, specifically, until he lets him back on the platform. That's some BS. That's some complete nonsense. So if I own a platform and I ban somebody, that's Elon Musk. As soon as Elon Musk took over Twitter, he owned that banning of Bannon. There's no past. I don't care about Yo Roth or none of them. It's Elon Musk's banning now. So if I own a platform and say, Metalopoly, I ban you from my platform, and then you say, hey, this about me, I can't, not with any respect, I can't come at you on my major platform unless I unban you first so I can quote tweet, I can reply right back on the platform. Anything else is some bitch stuff, and that's what Elon Musk is in here. Very unhappy about it. We are so far from popping bottles. I'd be more likely to break the bottle at this point. There's no bottles being popped about Elon Musk buying Twitter. It didn't work out as planned. I look like a complete idiot, and I have no problem clarifying that and admitting it. So I'm playing an old video. I do not remember even saying that. I said I'd be more likely to break the bottle. That's how I feel, though. That's true. Came back and look at those lives where I had a monster and I was like, and pop the bottle. Damn foolishness. And let me reset this here. But thanks, Metalopoly. I just wanted to. Sometimes I forget to go back to the comments. Metalopoly reply says, good point. I forgot about that, but he also gave a crappy emotional reason for not unbanning. Yeah, absolutely. But let's keep on banning. First, here's what Bannon said that Elon Musk had to. It's going to be like a minute in, but I still want to hear the whole clip. It's a great clip. 2.2 million views. Timcast is just it to me. Timcast right now, especially Crowder's not back. Timcast is the biggest platform for Joe Rogan isn't a politics guy. There's no bigger platform than this.
Right. And we have a unique opportunity to do that in this. And that's going to come. That's why populism's on the rise. And particularly that's why right-wing, when I'm proud to be a right-wing populist, that's why right-wing populism's on the rise.
So Min Liang Tan, co-founder and CEO of Razer, tweeted, I think Twitter should buy SVB and become a digital bank. Elon Musk replied, I'm open to the idea. Seems a bit silly.
So when I saw this, it was similar to like Sav Hernandez was on with Chrissy Mayer, and Chrissy Mayer brought up Tim Pool, and this is back when Sav's kind of had beef with Tim Pool. It's over now, but to my knowledge. But when she brought, my point is when she brought up Tim Pool, you could see in Sav's face, she couldn't hide it. She was like, I don't know about that nigga. She was kind of like, so look at Steve's face. He brings up Elon Musk, and Tim didn't do anything wrong. This is great. So Tim brings up Elon Musk, and Steve Bannon is like, I don't care about that nigga. What about? Look at him. Steve Bannon's like, so I think what's going in Steve Bannon's head is, do I need to annihilate Elon Musk or not? Now, I don't agree with him fully here, but you see him working like, I'm about to annihilate this fool.
I'm open to the idea. Seems a bit silly. I don't know. What would you think about that?
I think until Elon Musk starts letting back on the true anti-CCP people that he keeps blocked off there, myself included, not that I want to go on there. Oh yeah, no. He's
Remember, I'm tying this into the CCP, the head of the CCP, Xi coming in through San Francisco and California after they clean up for this dude. For you, you get shitty streets. For Xi, he gets clean streets. Now that Xi is gone, how much do you want to bet your streets return to shit again in San Francisco? And in this realm, we're talking about Elon Musk and his relationship with Xi Jinping. I just showed you them shaking hands. And what's the thing in common about the people who are banned for the most part? And I would even include Fuentes. I know he's made some jokes about liking China, but he's not a pro-China guy for real. They're all anti-China.
I want to go on there. Oh yeah, no. He's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. What are you talking about? Tesla, his only thing of real value is Tesla. He uses it for margin loans. He sells the stock. The Shanghai joint venture is 100% controlled by the CCP. This is why he never goes after the CCP. This is why he always backs off. This is when they had the protest. They had the protest about the lockdowns of COVID. He will not do it. Elon Musk is a total and complete phony. He is in bed in a business partner. He's done some good stuff, letting stuff out, with Taibbi and others. It's fine. But he is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Chinese Communist Party, and he acts like it.
There was a story recently that they...
This is from 8 months ago. I don't know if I agree with Ben totally now, but I do agree with him much more than I did 8 months ago.
Warned him to stop talking about lab leak.
100%.
He's got, I think there was
They wanted him to take down the tweets he did the first time. Now, he didn't take them down, but you notice he didn't have any more up there after that.
And I wonder if he said, okay, I won't tweet more about it. But here's the issue I see with the CCP in the United States.
So that's the Steve Bannon flashback. And Bannon in that clip talked about slavery in a way. I think he was talking about the Uyghurs. That's what everybody brings up with China. And with the Uyghurs, just to be clear, I can't independently confirm. So I just say that allegation is out there. But let me go and show you where I'm tying this now into. Again, I haven't really directly talked about the Israeli stuff in a while. I'm just using it to branch off to other conversations right now. So this is going to come up indirectly here, but that's not the point of me bringing it up. The point of me bringing it up is with Xi coming through the country, the optics are that we are kind of being conquered. And the biggest part of that you can use is that they did not invite any non-Democrats to meet with him. So if you were worried about the optics of someone coming through the country and it looking bad for the country, like you're tied into the CCP, then you would say, even a corporate Republican, you would say Mitch McConnell or something. I would still criticize that, but you would even do Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, I'm saying Biden. I'm saying Gavin Newsom. If I were Gavin Newsom and I was authentic about saying, I want Xi to come through and talk about climate change, but we're still a nation. I know we got beef. I know there's a lot of stuff popping off, but we're still a country. We're still a nation. So what I'd like to do is, Matt Gaetz, I know we don't agree, but I want you there with me, and we all talk, or whoever it is. Donald Trump. Why wouldn't you say Donald Trump? Donald Trump, you come through, or whoever. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what you would do if you were authentic. You would say, or Ron DeSantis. Why not Ron DeSantis? You say, Ron DeSantis, come on through, and you can meet with Xi. If you want to, just do the invitation, and you'd be crazy not to, and you can, to his face, tell him the problems that you have. If this ain't one side siding with Xi, but that's not what happened. And you can get taken over. So Fiorella Isabel went back to the Palestine stuff. I'm not going to relive this too much, but I just want to set the context. Said this is Palestine before settler colonial occupation of Israel took over via Britain and the US's aid. What's worse is that this not only occurred, not because they wanted to help Jewish people, but because they wanted to occupy Palestine via the creation of Israel. I don't want to get into that debate, but she's just showing pictures of how it looked before. And I can't tell the difference between a Jewish, they're all brothers, sisters, cousins, kind of over there. But it's nice is the point, is what she's saying. It's like, if these are, I can't independently confirm these, but let's just assume those are real. I said, what's the number one lesson? What's the number one lesson from this? If Palestinians were actually trying to help Jewish people or whatever, got migrated out, kicked out, however you want to phrase that, and now they're getting bombed on, what's the number one lesson? The number one lesson is do not get conquered. You can't fail there, or you will end up in chains. That's what happened to my ancestors. They got conquered and they ended up in chains. And that's life. And it's not just the mean old white person who did it. They got conquered by black people in Africa and sold them to Europeans and all over the place. For us in America, we might need to stop worrying about the Great Semite War, and we might need to start worrying about not getting conquered. If our elections don't have any integrity, we really don't have a say in anything that's happening. Let's start there. That's how the live started. As the president comes through our country, doesn't talk to anybody but Democrats. As we head into election season, right after China rigged the Canadian election, America can fall the same way as Palestine. And I talked about this to the Blackity Blacks, and this is not just for the Blackity Blacks. This is for the Whitey Whites, too. This is the lesson of slavery is not just for the Blackity Blacks. I talk about it with the Blackity Blacks because they're just, I don't know, they're an interesting group. I can't lie. But this lesson applies to everybody. It's not just them. The big lesson of slavery, there's two lessons that I don't think we've learned. And I'm getting sick of hearing people like Tariq and others using reparations as a weapon instead of taking a lesson from it. Nicole Hannah-Jones wants you to take the lesson from slavery, specifically with America, starting at 1619, to use it as a weapon to bring down the country for you to hate the country. That's not the big lesson from slavery that I'm going to be teaching my children. The biggest takeaway from slavery is to not get enslaved. That's the first lesson. And that's a lesson of life being savage. Number one, don't get conquered. That's how life is. Slavery is as old as sex. We grew from cave people, cavemen and cave women. We were Neanderthals, literally hitting each other over the head with rocks. So when you needed stuff to be farmed back in the day, this is in the world. Forget about America. Slavery is way bigger than America. There's a reason why they want you to think about it starting in 1619. Slavery is old as anything in this world. There have been slaves in Europe and literally every part of the world there's been slavery. Because people said, I need this work done on this farm way before America. I need this work done here. And I've got a bigger rock than you. I'm stronger than you. So I'm going to make you do the work. I'm not going to pay you. So allegedly, the Uyghurs in China, that's what's happening to them. You're weaker, we're going to enslave you, and you're going to do this work. Maybe we'll give you $1. Maybe we won't give you anything. Maybe you're lucky to be alive. Do this work. That's life. Life is savage. The number one lesson is don't be enslaved. That's the number one lesson. There can't be a bigger takeaway than that. Don't get conquered. I'm tired of coddling this conversation to descendants of slaves in Black America. I'm not coddling you. Grow up. Learn how life works. Nothing is entitled to you. That's the number one lesson. And ain't ish gonna change until you learn that lesson. That first lesson. Don't get conquered. It's pertinent. Hopefully I have time to get to why it's pertinent here. The number two lesson from this is you only get in life what you have the power to get. So I can want $1 billion. I ain't going to get $1 billion because I don't have the power to get it. So you can want reparations all you want. So that goes into the reparations. But the first part is what I wanted to show is that we should be concerned about becoming enslaved. And I'm going to end with kind of how I started. This is a tweet from Texas girl. Gavin Newsom, not only did I live in your state for 2 years, I visited the entire state. Why do you only clean up San Francisco when a communist dictator is visiting when you could have done this for your own people of California if you actually cared? People of California and liberals continue to vote for this clown. Truth matters. And this is a picture of San Francisco cleaning up. I have not independently verified this, but it is from an organization I trust, Turning Point USA. Before and after, homeless encampments. Afterwards, they got swept away. Can't find them. Don't even see the electric bikes or scooters anymore. And that's a sign that you have been conquered. We have been conquered. San Francisco is still a part of our country. They cleaned up for a communist dictator. For your black ass, nah. Walk around the shit. For your white ass, nah. Walk around the shit. For your Asian ass, nah. You're going to have to walk around the shit. You're going to have to fight these homeless people. For he doesn't even have to walk on the streets. They just cleaned it up just so it looked good for him. What about people who had to walk on the streets? They cleaned it up just so he could drive through. For what, a hot second? And for you walking on the sidewalk, this is the sign that we have been conquered. And who came through? The boss man. Who's number one? The boss man. Xi Jinping is the boss man of all countries right now. He comes through, you clean up that stuff real quick. Where'd they go? Gavin Newsom, I don't know where they went. They're just not there anymore. Gavin Newsom couldn't care if every homeless person that was out there is unlived, as long as it's clean for when his boss comes through. His boss doesn't like human feces. But what we've forgotten is that we're Gavin Newsom's boss. And it's not going to change until we remember that. Let me know what you think about that topic. I don't know if there's a more important topic. I mean, it ties into the election integrity, but it's all the same type of topic. Why is the integrity of the elections, and even the elections could have been the most perfect election ever. If they don't respect you and I enough to ensure the integrity of them, then you and I don't matter. And if California doesn't care enough to do that, then we shouldn't be in a union. Why are we in a union? Mr. Abbott, Greg Abbott, have you thought about this? Why are we in the union? Did you see Xi Jinping just came through California? I haven't heard you make a statement. How are you doing? What do you think we should do? What's that? What's all that noise behind you? Oh, it's about 10,000 people walking down the street at your state capitol. This time it's not the Bebe's kids. This time they're protesting in favor of Palestine. Illegal protest, not First Amendment protected. Wonderful. People were talking about the protest that happened in Washington, D.C., the protest that happened at the DNC. So there's protests that happened there, and the DNC headquarters was basically attacked, you could say. And I would say this is not something that I really excites me, because they're attacking the DNC. Right now, Joe Biden is the face of the Democrat Party. Even though he might not be running it, he's the face. We have talked about it is open season now. It is okay to criticize Joe Biden. You had David Ignatius write an article in the Washington Post, I believe it was, and he's tied in with the CIA, the famous author. And he went at Joe Biden. When he did that, that was the signal to everyone else. You don't have to go at Joe Biden, but if you want to, you can. Deep state, everyone. And they're pushing him out of there. So that's that right now. Now, if, say, Joe Biden dropped out, however it happened, and Gavin Newsom came in charge, like tomorrow, there's no more riots. There's no more riots on the DNC. That's over. If that happened, If Gavin Newsom became the candidate, or it was open to all of a mansion if he wanted to, or I don't know who else is running, Jake Uger, Dr. Cordell West, whoever, RFK, he's independent though, but say it opened up and then they still did the riot, I think, and then you would say it would give Gavin Newsom the opportunity to however do it to kind of stop the riots and become the hero. If that didn't happen, then now they have lost some control. People trying to break into the Secret Service car, that's not losing control. They lose control when they can't stop people from doing what they want, navigating people where they want the ire to be. Right now, it's okay to criticize Joe Biden. That's not off limits right now. I don't know why. That's why everybody's speculating he's moving on out. They want him up out of there. And I would recommend to Joe Biden that he listen. These are not people, he knows better than anybody. These are not people to mess with. But if you see them leave this totem pole of intersectionality, then that's good. But they're not leaving that. They're the same Black Lives Matter. They're doing intersectionality. They're still the oppressor types. They're just battling with the Jewish identity or the Black identity. That's what's happening. So the protests, they're not, there's no needle being moved by that. I think I just saw people saying, well, the left is eating each other. No, they're not. If you don't know about the protests, they were out there in the streets in D.C. I can show you this little clip here of this unhinged liberal. Here the country's not doing well. If you didn't know by now, the country's not real. We all need to sit down on a couch or something.
We are outside the DNC. We're outside the Democratic Party headquarters because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality. And we're saying that we want them to live up to their values and oppose this horrific war and call for a ceasefire now. And we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs, shoving peaceful protesters back with their bikes. And because our party that 80% of us want a ceasefire, would rather beat up protesters.
Hold on, to be continued. One second.
They're like feral animals.
We are outside the...
Do they not have jobs? Do we not do that anymore? This was on what? Was it Wednesday or Tuesday or something like that? Don't you got to go get up in the morning or something? Or I don't know. Do you have something to do? Do you have obligations? Do you have bills to pay? Or what's going on? Does Soros pay all y'all bills? Or what? How does this work? But it's all emotion, as you can see. And in fact, it actually leaves room, I would say, for a Soros to come, not a Soros, for someone, Soros to back someone, for Gavin Newsom to come in as the white knight and do whatever, something I can't even think of, and then they stop all this, and then he gets credit for it. It's very possible. And it actually sets up for that very well. Because last time you had the riots lead into supporting Joe Biden, I don't think that's what's going to happen this time. And we're having riots earlier in this election season. It looks like the riots are going to happen, and then the white savior, white knight. I mean, you could say that figuratively and literally. It could be Gavin Newsom, and I don't know how they do that with getting Kamala out of there, but her approval rating's worse than Joe Biden, so it might not be that difficult. Gavin Newsom comes in as the white knight, or Michelle Obama. Big Mike could. And then stop this, and then now you get the credit. That's what I could see. Greg Wilson, thanks for $5. He said, I will match dollar for dollar till the end of the stream. Greg Wilson trying to make me stay up late. Appreciate you, man. Great friend of the show, Greg Wilson. Barton Bella says there was a dang ceasefire on October 6th, and like the last 10, Hamas broke it to commit terror. And that is correct. So that's the state of the country. We do need to find a couch, though. I don't know who's going to do it. Maybe Oprah. Would Oprah be, I mean, she's woke, so that probably wouldn't work. Who would be the one to put us all on the couch? I don't know who would be the right person. Would it be Jordan Peterson? I don't know. I think he's even cringe. So I don't know who would be the right person to put us on the couch, but we need somebody to put us on the couch. Ray Jr. says they created these monsters, so now they have to deal with them. Yeah, but we still all have to deal with them. And what's happening that's negative for them? I really don't. If Joe Biden is still president through all this, then yeah, I agree it is negative. But it just seems so obvious that he's not going to be through it. Yeah. So yeah, so let's look at the chat here. Drunken Yoda says, looks like Rage for the Machine. We used to be Rage Against the Machine. No, I thought you were done. Greg Wilson. Better than Against the Wall. Yeah, that's true. Old Jim Bob says, I saw one of these people advocating for legal abortion at 8.5 months. Man, especially with the news of congratulations to Barton Bella and her family, her daughter, and her family for, bringing in a new life form, baby boy. Yeah, that is, a lot of people disagree with my opinion. In my opinion, I think if you want to do that, it should be legal. But it's just one of those things you shouldn't have to have a law to make that illegal. I mean, that's just obviously not, especially if you shouldn't be doing that by choice. My gosh, 8.5 months. My goodness. You just can't. No, you can't. I can't even imagine that, man. By choice, usually at that late, I think it's a medical procedure or something it's a medical issue. But if you're doing something like that because you just don't want to have a baby at 8.5 months, that's a very, very, very bad place. So yeah, I'm gonna be out and save some energy. Maybe I can do. I'm trying to do lives every night. Believe it or not, if I can be prepared and have enough energy, I'm gonna try to do it. Good evening, TNT Psychos. You just joined. Oh shoot, I gotta go. I got to save up some energy. Maybe get to bed. Get to bed before 2 a.m. Mountain. That's actually pretty good for me right now. And maybe I can do a back-to-back. I do have crack basically helping me, which is in the liquid form of coffee. Believe it or not, this is me on coffee. Barton Bella, see y'all tomorrow and show y'all pictures. We got to see the pictures, Barton Bella. We got to. Thank you so much. Well, you don't have to. That's your personal, but greatly appreciate it. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. I am out. Greg Wilson, best. Boring life. Fire. Appreciate y'all. Peace.